Okay, so I'm joined with owner of Victor's, Mr. Tim Norwood, and thank you for inviting us in, Tim. Why don't you introduce yourself to everyone and tell us a little bit about the restaurant and kind of the vision of this whole thing?
Sure, delighted to, Sam. Thank you very much for letting us participate in your YouTube channel. Um,
Absolutely.
Sam, I've been involved with my wife. Ann and I are the primary owners of Victor's, and we got involved back in 2003 when Victor's was down in the old Shoney's building where Woodstone Barbecue is now.
Hmm.
And we were there for about 5 years, and the facility, first of all, everybody knows it's a Shoney's building, and it really wasn't conducive of what the environment we wanted for Victor's. And what we wanted in Victor's is a place that the community's proud of, that they can come in and celebrate with their friends, whether it's a after work cocktail or whether it's an engagement or an anniversary or a birthday or a business meal. You know, we have a lot of businesses that come here to celebrate signing a big deal or negotiating a big deal, and then we have a lot of businesses that come and have their meetings here during the day and the evening and stay at Hotel Florence. But where we were in the old Shoney's building was not conducive to that, and we wanted to move out of there. And this was about 13 years ago. We were looking around, and my wife and I, we felt like when we saw all the things that were coming into downtown Florence, I knew the museum was coming, although it hadn't been started, it had been funded. The little theater hadn't been built yet. The library had been completed, and then we were looking forward to the Performing Arts Center happening. But knowing all that was going to happen over the next few years down the cultural corridor down Dargan Street, we felt like there was a place for downtown to have a really nice restaurant, a white tablecloth restaurant and great cocktail bar. And so we were looking at all these buildings and trying to find a place. And a lady came up to us that we were working with, Agnes Wilcox, and we walked in the building we are in now, and she said, "Tim, you and Ann should put your restaurant here and create a hotel here." We thought she was crazy. And so, but she said, "You need to meet these other guys that just did a development project." It was Randy Key, architect, Ben Ziegler, an attorney, Chris Scott, a developer. And so I met with them, and at the time, John Keith, who's one of the original people that really developed downtown Florence, he had opened up a nightclub across the street in one of his buildings where Holy Smoking is now. And we were over there one night. There was a great crowd in there, and I was talking to Randy Key, and we said, "Well, listen, let's just do the restaurant, hotel, and downtown." And we shook hands on it. We were just enthusiastic. We didn't know what we were really getting into, and so we agreed to do that. But we needed to have a hotel here, and so we talked to some local people that owned a bed and breakfast, and we talked to some people that owned other hotels. And I was at that particular year, I was chairman of the Florence County Progress, and we were at a ribbon cutting at the Marriott Courtyard's new update. And so we were out there. I was talking to Gray Rains. I said, "Gray, would y'all be interested in doing a boutique hotel downtown Florence?" He said, "Absolutely." And so that gave us the hotel, the attorney, the architect, the restaurant owner, and the developer all together. And then we started planning and thinking and working, negotiating with the city and the county, and we ended up with Hotel Florence that we opened up 11 years ago, the same time we opened up Victor's. And it was so a magical time for downtown Florence because nothing else had really been done on Evans Street. It was boarded up uh, buildings and bats flying in and out of the broken windows. And pigeons. It was a horrific mess. And but we got involved and opened up the hotel, which was opening the hotel and the restaurant at the same time was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had in my life. And in your life you can count, look back, there's probably a half a dozen things. I'm 68. A half a dozen things that really were just monumental and were so much fun. And opening the hotel and Victor simultaneously was that. And people would come in and they'd come into the restaurant and they'd say, "Oh my gosh, I'm not in Florence anymore." And that was a refrain we heard over and over because it just changed the dynamic of our community, having Victor's and Hotel Florence together. And so that was 11, 12 years ago. And since then, it's been a great support from the community, from the city, uh, from all the businesses that come in to, as I mentioned earlier, how they come in and do seminars here, or they do business deals, or they celebrate a business deal. The community has been so supportive of our business here and of Hotel Florence. So it's been quite the ride. And not only that, we saw the rest of the community develop around us. The general store next door, the ladies' shops down the street, the other restaurants. And we came down here, there were like 2 restaurants. Now there's over a dozen. There were virtually no retail shops. Now there's probably a dozen more of those. And the community is expanding all around Victor's and Hotel Florence. We've also expanded our services over the last year or so. We've always done a lot of in our banquet rooms, where we can host a party up to like 125 plated seated dinner. We've been using that a lot, hosting small weddings. But recently, we were able to obtain the rights to the Waters building on the ground floor, which, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, is the best venue for weddings and receptions in Florence. Beautiful. The building's back in its original state, has a beautiful mezzanine, stairs where the bride could come down and the bridal party can be introduced, place for a full band to play, and of course Victor's is exclusive restaurant that services and provides the food, cocktails, and beverages. So that will be a big plus for us. Prior to us taking it over, it was managed by the museum, and the museum really didn't want any part of it, so it wasn't heavily used. But we believe going forward, with weddings, receptions, and business interest, it will keep the building very, very full and occupied. One thing we wanted to create with Victor's is a place that where the food is paramount. That we want to serve the hand cut 30-day wet aged steaks, and you can't get those anywhere else in Florence. And that's the porterhouse, and these are hand cut fillets and hand cut ribeyes. That's not, most everybody else in the industry uses green, which is just right off the truck or right out of the grocery store, and it's not going to be as tender and as flavorful as a hand cut 30-day wet aged piece of meat. And we also want to use the freshest seafood, and we're constantly, Shelby and Cooper and the team, they're constantly sourcing out fresh seafood, whether it's flounder or red snapper, tilefish, whatever it may be. We're sorting out and have it delivered fresh right out of the, whether it's in the coast of North Carolina or coast of South Carolina. It's caught, delivered here, and we serve that fresh. We have a very creative menu that we're just reintroduced another menu and we try to do a new menu at least twice a year, seasonally as best we can. And then we've got a vision for the future here. I mean, we have a great business and a great environment, but it's been 11 years old. And so we did a slight upgrade right after COVID, making our VIX area bigger. But we are working with some consultants out of New York City for our bar. We've had them come in and do a lot of training with our bar staff, getting the classic cocktails down pat, utilizing handcrafted, which it takes a little longer to make a handcrafted drink, but it's so much better. And so sometimes you have to have a little patience, Sam, when you go to a place that does handcrafted cocktails. Anyway, we also are looking to do a refresh in Victor's. As I said, it's been 11 years, so we're looking. We have some image consultants coming in that are going to, and because it's beautiful with the white and black, but we think we want to change that to a newer, more contemporary color. Still keep the white tablecloths, but we want to just refresh the physical area within Victor's. So we think our goal is to have that all done by next April when we have the Florence Food and Wine show.
Yeah, so again, I appreciate you inviting us in, and I can say as a lifelong member of this community that, in my mind and many others, Victor's has become a signature business in Florence. And I actually said this on the way over here, that it really is, at least in my mind, at the heart of everything that is downtown Florence and everything that's been happening here. So again, we really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to seeing some food.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Sam. I appreciate all you do to promote Florence, because that is a labor of love for you. And I certainly appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.